Well, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. My name is Julia Ritter, and on behalf of the German Ocean Foundation, I'd like to welcome you all to our third Ocean Decade Dialogue. Ocean literacy is one of the key pillars of the Foundation's work. We follow the premise that only an ocean literate society can make decisions in support of a healthy ocean. And so with various projects, an ocean science exhibition in Hamburg, Parliamentary Ocean Evenings in Berlin, the Ocean Education Lovers Platform, which we run in conjunction with the International Ocean Film Tour. That's about to arrive in cinemas, so look out for it, as well as our Research at Sea competition for school children, which is open for entry now until the end of March. The Foundation's ocean literacy projects are designed to spread awareness of ocean challenges and ocean solutions for everyone, for school children, for students and the general public. And this webinar, this Ocean Decade Dialogue, is one of our projects designed to do just that. Before we start, I would just like to run through some very quick housekeeping rules. One is that your microphones will be muted whilst we go through the webinar. We will address questions after the two presentations. And if you would like to ask a question, you could either raise your hand and we will allow you to put your camera on, or you could put your question into the Q&A box as you prefer. The webinar is being recorded and we will share the link with everybody who has attended. It will also go up on our YouTube channel afterwards. I'd like to hand over now to Frank Schweikart, who is the director of the German Ocean Foundation, for his words of welcome. Frank.
Thank you so much, Julia, for organizing this great event and all the team behind of us, the German Ocean Foundation. I'm very happy that so many people attend today. And the reason we do this dialogue is because I believe that we will need good dialogues between policy, science, economy, and society. So that's what we want to achieve. And because the goals of the German Ocean Foundation are very similar with the goals of the United Nations Ocean Decade, we are happy to have many projects you can see on our website. And today's topic is one of my favorite ones because growing algae in the sea means, I will say algae are a kind of superhero. So we can take out CO2 from the ocean, we can produce food or other helpful things. And we can take out much nutrients from the ocean. For example, we live close to the Baltic Sea. We can see that eutrophication is really a bad challenge for the ocean. And I'm very happy that international and national participants and partners are here in this decade, and I want to wish you all the best and fruitful communication and have fun. Thank you so much. I'm at the moment in Bremen. I'm not in my office because I give a speech now in a school. So communication all the time is our duty, and we're happy, very happy with that. Thank you, Julia. Back to you.
Thank you, Frank. So, coming to the webinar, this is the third in a series of online dialogues which we've arranged. This one all dedicated to the UN Ocean Decade Challenges. And one of the projects that we run that has indeed been endorsed as a UN Ocean Decade action, an official decade action. In the past, we've looked at pollution, we've looked at marine protection. Today, we're looking at one of the greatest challenges, how the ocean can sustainably feed the global population. This challenge aims to generate knowledge, support innovation, and develop solutions to optimize the role of the ocean in sustainably nourishing the world's population under changing environmental, social, and climate conditions. Here, we're going to look at two contrasting ocean resources. Our first presentation from Laura Maragna will introduce algae as an emerging resource and the EU's project to develop a brand new industry around it. It has a potential to act as food, as feed, fertilizer, medicine, and fuel, and also providing environmental services such as carbon sequestration and wastewater treatment. So we're now, as Frank said, we're recognizing it as a true ocean champion. Frank's role as a member of the stakeholder group that developed the manifesto for the Ocean Pact, and his role as the only German member of the EU mission board Restore Our Ocean and Waters, sees that the activities in European waters and the development of innovative and sustainable industries is really at the forefront of this work. The second presentation, there we will hear from Martin Schlockwerder. Here we turn to small-scale fisheries, so a very traditional, perhaps the most traditional ocean industry of all. And it's an industry that must now adapt in the light of overexploitation, declining fish stocks, climate change, pollution, and direct competition from industrial fishing. Here it's important that local, traditional, and sustainable methods of fishing are supported and that government subsidies for large-scale industrial fishing be stopped. The Foundation's vessel, the Aldebaran, which spends a lot of time in the Baltic and in the North Sea and has a particular connection to the Baltic fishing port of Niendorf, provides us with a very strong insight into the plight of small-scale fishers in German waters. Last year, the Foundation developed a Niendorf Declaration relating to future-oriented fishing, and it holds ongoing talks with members of the German Parliament in support of a sustainable fisheries policy, aiming to help our fishers adapt and secure a sustainable path for this industry. So, with now much ado, I would like to hand over to Laura Maragna, who is the Senior Innovation Consultant at Eura Innovation Ecosystems, based in Portugal, if I understand correctly, manager of the EU4Algae project, which is a European-wide initiative to support and connect stakeholders within this growing sector. Laura's path has seen her working for European and international organisations, from the European Commission to the International Labour Organization. Her work has been centred on building bridges between science, innovation and policy, and particularly now with the marine and blue bioeconomy sectors. And here she's especially engaged in advancing algae as a strategic resource for Europe's green transition. Your presentation, Connecting Europe's Algae Sector with EU Policy Ambitions from the EU Algae Initiative to the Ocean Pact, is one that we've all been looking forward to. And I hand over to you now, Laura. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Julia. Thank you very much, Frank. I'm very delighted with this invitation, and I think that the mandate of the Foundation goes really well aligned with the EU4Algae project. So I think a lot was already said, and I think you can see my screen, right? Yes, in full screen. Okay, I think a lot was already said regarding algae applications, food, feed, cosmetics, and indeed, I think this is quite promising. I will be just frame a little bit in terms of what EU is actually doing to support the algae sector, and we have in place this framework, which is the EU Algae Initiative. I don't know how familiar you are with that, but then you can have a closer look when we share the presentations. There is a link to the initiative. So the EU Algae Initiative was actually put in place in November 2022, a little bit before EU4Algae was launched, and I'll come to the EU4Algae just in a minute. So this is the European Commission policy framework aimed to unlock the potential of algae in Europe, and it has 23 policy actions to be implemented from 2023 to 2027. Aiming to improve governance and streamline legislation, facilitate access to marine space and licensing, support business development, market uptake, boost research, innovation, and investment, and also, as mentioned, raise awareness and consumer acceptance. So, as I said, the EU4Algae started in January 2022. So, between January 2022 and November 2022, when the EU Algae Initiative was put in place, we have also supported the Commission in shaping a bit the initiative and gathering insights from the sector. We are a stakeholders platform. We have more than 1,200 members from the industry, academia, a lot of also member states and policymakers. We have just established a member states network with aquaculture national authorities, and we work as an interface between the Commission and also several EU algae funded projects and initiatives. So as I said, we are supporting the EU policies, the implementation of the EU algae initiative. We're also working on different guidance tools, regulatory assessments. I can say on the specific topic of this workshop today, we are working on novel food. We are also working very closely with DG Sante and DG Agri on the contaminants, the maximum level of contaminants for algae. We have also worked on different countries' licensing procedures for establishing new algae farms. And of course, we are also working more towards the market, for the market uptake. We are organizing webinars, matchmaking. We have organized the second EU Algae Awareness Summit in Berlin last year in October, which was a great success. Again, it was focused on awareness, so we had a huge public of more than 250 participants, which include the industry representatives, researchers, policymakers, the schools as well. And we try as much as possible also to give a lot of visibility to your companies and innovators. We started a new phase now, January 2025, but there are several reports that you can also have a look at the EU Publications Office, and I have included here all the links as well. So as I said, the protocol to apply for novel food dossier, developing and monitoring the framework to assess the bioremediation of algae. So there are several reports which you can have a closer look afterwards. And now what we are working on in this phase, we have an algae farmers toolkit that is being built within the EU4Algae website. So when a new algae farmers want to set up their farms or what they have to do. So we are also not only working on seaweed and macroalgae, but also macroalgae as well. We are trying to bring more algae species into the EU market with the formal approval from the food safety authorities. We are also discussing an algae industry roadmap. There will be a very soon a webinar that we are organizing on the blue carbon schemes. And we are working very hard to try to address the data gap on the algae sector, also very close with the Commission, with the Joint Research Center, with the EMODNet, and other initiatives like Eurostat, for instance. So I already mentioned to you that we have organized this awareness summit, which has made very clear the momentum of algae. I invite you to have a look on our website. It's EU4Algae, and you'll find it easily on the Maritime Forum. Have the report, the pictures, the recap videos, and you can see more of what happened there. And just to mention that this declaration was announced during the summit. This was actually an exercise that was driven through the German National Authority with the French National Authority, Aquaculture National Authorities, and they have prepared this declaration. You can see here the details, but just to highlight that they recognize algae as one of the most promising yet currently underutilized resources for advancing a sustainable circular blue bioeconomy. So far, we have 8 countries that have signed this declaration. So France, Germany, Finland, Spain, Greece, Belgium, Italy, and Portugal. And we expect more will also sign. And they have now a group. So they are working on different activities to put forward this declaration. And this shows the great momentum that we have for the algae sector. We have organized our annual meeting this year in Latvia on 8th of December, where we have revised all the different outcomes that I have mentioned we are working on, but also we have organized this thematic webinar where we have presented an overview of the different EU funding programs, like the European Innovation Council, how these funding programs can support the innovations in the algae sector. Also Blue Invest, the European Investment Bank, Horizon Europe Opportunities, the Circular Bio-Based Europe Joint Undertaking, the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership, and also the EMFAF from CINEA, which is also the program that has founded the EU4Algae project. Then this is what we have in the pipeline, what is coming next. We have a roundtable discussions about biobanking. This is a closed event between some authors of this study, a European biobanking strategy for safeguarding macroalgae genetical material. with some commission services like the DG Research, the Joint Research Center, DG Environment. And then we have a webinar series that we are going to organize now in 2026. The first is about the carbon and nutrient credit schemes. The second one will be around the standards for the algae sector. The third one is still to be defined, but we are involving other EU-funded algae projects and initiatives. And the fourth one, actually, Julia has mentioned this activity with the schools, and we have just also launched a call for schools. Our aim is to involve 50 schools around Europe. We are doing this in partnership with the European Blue Schools Network. And the idea here is to bring algae to the schools. So we are going to provide a handbook, and we are going to organize co-creation sessions with these teachers, so they can also provide insights on how material can be useful for them to bring to the classroom. There are different age ranges with some proposed activities that they carry on, more sensorial for early ages, and then with microscopes and etc. for later grades. And then we also proposing some hands-on activities. We'll try to indicate some farms or facilities that they can visit, and so all this to create awareness and also bring algae to the schools. So I invite you also to have a look. We are carrying on a series of campaigns, of awareness campaigns. As I said, there is this upcoming infographic about the safety of algae consumption for the public, for the general public, and several also social media campaigns to raise awareness. I also invite you to join our LinkedIn group and to be active there, share your ideas, your projects, and engage with the community. And just to finalize, algae is more and more, I think, having a space, important space in the broader blue bioeconomy strategies from the Commission. We know that there are a lot ongoing, being cooked right now with this Ocean Pact and this blue bioeconomy partnership, innovation partnership. So yeah, we do expect here that algae can play a bigger role. And yeah, thank you very much again for the invitation, and open to answer to any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you very much indeed. We'll take the questions afterwards. I think we will we'll go on now to Martin's presentation, and then we'll take the questions to both of you afterwards. So, and then I would like to introduce our second speaker, Martin Schlockwerder, who is Deputy Chair, responsible for projects and public relations, and member of the board at Sea Ranger, which is a not-for-profit organisation established in 2023 by artisanal fishermen in northern Germany. Sea Rangers are trained specialists in fisheries and the marine environment. And the idea is that they protect, they research, and they develop. And they show how this old traditional fishing industry can be brought forward into the 21st century and remain a healthy industry. Martin, I'm happy to give you the floor now for your presentation and approach to saving traditional small-scale coastal fisheries. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us here at the Ocean Decade Dialogue. I'm happy to introduce our approach to saving traditional small-scale coastal fisheries. As mentioned, it's a real traditional thing. If I do interviews with fishermen, I live on the island of Rügen, I'm not surprised when I ask, how long is your family involved in fisheries? And the answer is ever since. So people feel related to the seas and to their heritage. Next slide, please. A small technical problem with the slides. It's not. Just a second. Now it's working. During the Ocean Decade, right at the beginning, the Food and Agriculture Organization proclaimed the year of artisanal fishery in 2022 to highlight the important role of small-scale fisheries in achieving the Sustainable Development Goal targets and to promote successful action towards for better. That's better production, better nutrition, better environment, and a better life. You can find these SDGs in the report, and it emphasizes the global scale of course. The most important thing is healthy environment, biodiversity, the economic sustainability, and the social sustainability. Governance is related to better life, of course. Gender equality and equity is always better. And of course, our topic today is nutrition and food security, and especially in the global south, 50% of the protein sources are provided by small-scale fisheries. In times of climate change, of course, the preparedness and adaptive capacity of local communities and small-scale fisheries is really important, and is maybe the most innovative part or a strong virtue of small-scale fisheries. On a European level, the Green Deal and the Common Fishery Policy is the framework for climate protection, food supply, biodiversity, and the management of fish stocks for the member states. Everybody knows the catch quotas issued by the EU Commission, and the Baltic Sea Action Plan emphasizes the cultural and historical values, the social and economic safety net, and an unmatched skill set to restore and protect marine habitats of the small-scale fisheries. Landings may appear small, 5.4%, but the member states acknowledge that returns are not only seen in terms of economic figures. Focusing on the Baltic Sea, it's quite common that it's among the most intensively used and ecologically stressed marine regions in the world. As an enclosed semi-brackish system, it's particularly vulnerable to the combined pressure of climate change, eutrophication, biodiversity loss, competing maritime activities. And despite decades of scientific advances and increasingly sophisticated policy frameworks, a persistent gap remains between conservation targets and measurable ecological progress. The Baltic Marine Environment Protection Commission, HELCOM, has identified a worrying state of the Baltic Sea in its report, State of the Baltic Sea, and published a red list in 2022. The Commission is pursuing a holistic ecosystem approach in which all Baltic states are obliged to systematically collect data as a basis for management plans and put the Baltic Sea Action Plan in place. In coastal waters, there is an obvious lack of data on most biotopes and regular monitoring activities. Lagoon straits and coastal zones are, despite mandatory management plans, often white spots on the scientific nautical chart. In Germany, our government has committed itself 2025 to preserve small-scale fishery. Appointed by the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, a national stakeholder dialogue was put in place, and the National Fisheries Future Commission published its report in April last year, and an agency was founded to work on the results and to put in place the transformation activities and to inform and to highlight the importance and to control the measures. The opening of this agency will take place on the 13th of March in Hamburg, and you can still register via LinkedIn. In my federal state of Mecklenburg-Western Pomerania, where our association was funded, there are simply no companies and fisheries don't depend on state subsidies. So pure fishing activities are no longer economically viable. The average age of the fishermen here is around 60 years. There are no new trainees. So particularly alarming is the imminent loss of specific fisherman knowledge within only one generation. Due to the uncertain sources of income, the fishery business has lost a lot of its attractiveness. And today, almost only companies can survive that have already other economic sources of diversification in tourism or processing or whatever, or restaurants. There is no longer a professional interest representation in our federal state that worsens things because they're no longer represented on a national or international level. Yeah, high time to take action. And in 2023, an education program in artisanal fishery has been piloted by fishermen themselves in close cooperation with scientists. You see the picture with the first concept of living lab located at the cooperative in the Wismar Bay. The initial concept was published in late 2023, and the title was Forester of the Seas. And the media loves the claim, and it explains, or it's an answer to the question, who takes care of the coastal waters? Might be somebody like a forester who takes care of the woods. The core task, of course, is to preserve nature and to motivate a new generation of fishermen to carry on with the tradition. And of course, it's mandatory to detect alternative income sources. The first step was Sea Ranger training. It's a state-recognized job training for small-scale coastal fishers. All the 11 pioneers on the pictured here underwent a 3 years apprenticeship in their teens. Now the average age of this course is 42. And they started in October 2023. And the training course consists of 8 weeks of lectures, 4 weeks internship, a 1-week excursion to Denmark and Sweden, and a graduation project with a presentation. The graduates are certified specialists in fisheries and marine environment. That's the official title. The 3 legs of the training are ecosystem, marine science and legislation, of course, marine biology, ecosystem, legal system, environmental regulations and spatial plannings, environmental monitoring. You see the participants on a survey vessel, and they learned scientific methods and monitoring. And last but not least, production of marine organisms that might well be aquaculture or in aquaponic algae and plants. Second leg is communication and public relation. Professional communication, then we attended schools and got an instruction in environmental education. Public relations, sometimes I feel there are more cameras and fishermen nowadays. Project management is quite important. Monitoring and documentation, also scientific results, and to manage complex projects is sometimes new to people who are pretty much used to work on their own, on their boat. Yeah, it's all about transformation. We start with historic vessels and fishing techniques, but main aspect is diversifications and new marketing strategies, and to learn more about changes in marine environment. And of course, the practitioners are really good prepared to work on sustainable fishing operations, might be fishing gear or maybe a fishing vessel of the future with alternative propulsion technique. I think the strongest virtue in the first course is, again, communication. Combining scientific approaches and local knowledge is a game changer, and it worked out really good in the first year, which we see as a proof of concept. And you see here a team of scientists. The subject is spawning migration of herring, and somebody who's providing the net material, and my colleague, a fisherman from Wismar. That's a perfect win-win situation. Yeah, as mentioned, we are a non-profit organization, and the fishermen themselves established the association as their professional representation. We are very well acclaimed by media and the public sector, and we initially offered our services at sea and in the harbor in our Federal Republic in the first step. And we are preparing a new course starting in September, addressing fishermen from 3 coastal federal states in Germany. We work on an international level together with other fishery organizations on in the EU Commission stakeholder dialogue, and on a national level we take part in conferences, and we really enjoy to be part of a dialogue like we do today. One example on an international level is a Baltic Coast dialogue, which is a perfect network platform for us, and where we try to promote our idea on an international level. Our office opened its doors on the 1st of August in Wismar, and we have 3 employees, and we are doing projects. We promote and organize measures of operation, and we serve as a back office for our members. From the start, we were co-financed by the European Union, and in the first 2 years, the German Ministry of Food and Agriculture funded us from license fees from offshore power plant operations. That was very helpful for us, but we are aiming at self-sufficient operation financed by projects in the future. Our activities, I mentioned the scientific research on herring migration. We are investigating into the spread of toxic algae. You might remember the Oder River catastrophe 3 years ago. We collect seaweed samples and we monitor seaweed beds. We recover ghost nets. We are at sea with fishing vessels, with technical devices for hydrographic measurements. We are at schools and universities, maritime festivals, fairs and events, workshops, and we enjoy taking part in panels and conferences. These are our partners in this herbal algae blossom project. It's a joint project with renowned scientific institutes. Yes, seagrass and seaweed as a food source or as a carbon sink is a huge field, and we do more and more projects with private and public partners, as you can see here. Maybe the biggest project at the moment is a reference fleet of fishing vessels collecting hydrographic data. It's called High Five Baltic in cooperation with Thun Institute of Baltic Sea Fisheries. Yeah, and in the future, we would like to do more educational projects. Here's a pilot project with a school on the island of Rügen. We really enjoy to promote the Girls' Day in the city of Wismar, for instance. Yeah, we felt honored to be part of the representation of our federal republic on our National Day. You can see my colleague introducing people in the traditional art of net making. Our first project we do ourselves with our partner Baltic Conservation Foundation is Baltic Sea Ranger. We will introduce our concept in the 3 Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, this year and next year. And that is a great chance to talk about our experience and to exchange our ideas how to scale our approach to an international level. Yeah, from a fisherman's point of view, this is thinking globally and acting locally. Thank you, and please don't hesitate to contact us. You'll find my email address, you'll find us on LinkedIn, and yeah, you can scan the QR code as well. And I'm happy to discuss new projects or to find new ways of cooperations.
Thank you very much indeed. Both very interesting presentations. And now we're handing it over to you, dear participants. Do you have questions? Would you like to put them yourselves? Then we can put your cameras on, put them in the Q&A as you wish. Maybe, Martin, you want to stop sharing your screen, then we can come to see everybody. Here we have. So I have a question from Franzi to Laura. What could be effective ways for individuals to support the EU algae sector?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Yeah, I think, as I said, we are a bottom-up stakeholders platform, although we are very close connected with the Commission, with DG Mari, and with other DGs to address many of the bottlenecks of the sector. but we do have a lot of participants from different backgrounds, and yeah, I think we can. One of the most pressing topics is indeed to create awareness on the potential of algae, on the benefits of algae. That's why we are working in this infographic, as I said, to show that algae consumption is safe, although there are many discussions also, as I said, with DG Sante and DG Agri on the maximum levels of contaminants on algae. There are a lot still to be done, and we are trying as much as possible to work hand in hand with the Commission, but also with the sector. And then what is the most significant bottleneck? There are many. I mentioned the data, and I also see that Martin has mentioned that on his presentation. So data gap, it's an important topic that we are trying to support, to provide support here. Again, I mentioned the Ocean Pact. And there is this mention of this Blue Bioeconomy Innovation Partnership. When the Ocean Pact mentions algae, there is this mention to this partnership specifically, but also to scale up the algae production in the EU. And when we talk to a lot of algae producers, actually they say, okay, we can scale up the production. This is not a problem. We have the technology, we have the knowledge to do that. But then there is a market. Sometimes actually this is a question mark, because we see a lot of algae entering at the EU market without the same level of how can I say, environmental and other requirements that actually we do have at the EU level, and which is there is a purpose to ensure safety and etc. So I think here there is something between the production and the market, to reach the market, and that make sure that we have a market, internal market for that, and that we are not unfairly competing with other with algae coming from other parts of the world. So there are many bottlenecks, but I think we are trying to really make the bridge and engage the sector and the policymakers and everyone to put our hands together and to try to address as much as possible. Thank you.
Great. Perhaps then, as you have the microphone on, Laura, a follow-up question from me with, you mentioned you were going into schools and talking to school children about the potential of algae. How else can we change public perception? Because I think there are more and more products that are including algae, but it's still seen as a slightly perhaps niche ingredient. If you talk to people about ice cream with algae, they'll try it, but more as because they're curious rather than something, oh, that's wonderful, let's eat this, let's buy this now. How can we get over that? What are you doing to try to make it, the public perception of it as a normal product, one that is, yes, acceptable, normal, and welcomed by the community?
Thank you very much, Julia. I think this is quite a challenging question. I think we are trying our best actually to show that. We have prepared also a consumer infographic showing that the Eurobarometer, for the first time, I think last year or 2024, has also made some questions and surveys around the algae perception. And I think also from the industry side, that's a lot of research being doing to try somehow to see where actually where how to overcome like the issue of the smell, of the taste, and make innovative products out of algae. We usually do a lot of also try to give a lot of visibility to new business, not only for food but also packaging. We know there is actually a company from UK that is working with other EU countries in different projects called Nopla, and they are doing very interesting packaging solutions with algae. So I think it's we are trying our best to spread out the word and to show that algae is not niche, but actually very versatile. And then yeah, we have to really spread the word and make people curious. And I think this activity with schools, it's about that. It's to show early ages what is algae and what they can do with algae. Yeah, so I think that's it. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. So I have another question now, also for Laura. Martin, your time will come, I promise. Joanna says, do you see any realistic potential for integrated multi-tropic aquaculture systems as a sustainable solution for food production? And how could we speed up the progress?
Joan, I think there are a lot of discussions around that. We have done also some reports, which I can put here the link for you so you can have a closer look. Yeah, and we actually, Martins maybe also can jump in and say, as also having this experience to work with fisheries and also algae, I think there are many ongoing discussions on this topic, and we are trying also more and more to work towards this direction. I don't know, Martins, if you have something to add here.
Yeah, very interesting topic, and that was part of our training program as well. At our German coastline, there are few applications. We have a test field in Warnemünde, and there are scientists working on it. But for us, it's in terms of blue economy and alternative income, it's not a main topic. But we're following up that, and we are part of the algae network here in our communities.
Okay, we're keeping with you, Martin. I have a question now from Amelie. Can you elaborate on how the Sea Ranger approach fosters gender equality? There were lots of male fishers in your photos.
Yeah, that's a kind of cliche, and the 11 pioneers are male fishers. In history, it used to be family business, and in the GDR days, 30 years ago, there were many more women involved in fisheries, and on a global level, small-scale fisheries, coming back to the artisanal year of fisheries and the global scope, there are more and a high percentage of women in fisheries. I personally know of 2 women fishing professionally here, and they refused to do an interview. Very interesting, but we're trying to change that, and I hope we'll have more diversity in the next course. Let's wait and see. We're working on it.
Thank you. Back to you, Laura. Can people use the algae from algae blooms of eutrophication, or are there differences in farm and wild algae?
Yes, indeed, there are differences. I will not say something straightforward negative about algae blooms, although you might know that this can come in not controlled conditions. So when algae is harvested from clean and monitored waters, of course, this can comply with the environmental standards and etc. So it's okay. But usually when we are talking about farmed algae, then this comes in a more controlled conditions, and it's easy to ensure safety and consistency and compliance with the EU food and environmental requirements and regulations.
Thank you. I have a question, Martin, for you regarding, so your first program, you said you had for 11 fishers. Your next one is now working for the 3 Baltic states, federal states within Germany. Do you see the potential to scale up so that you could then perhaps involve fishers from the whole of the Baltic region, or even further to use this program to connect with other small-scale fisheries organizations within the EU, and therefore, yes, use it as a kind of a building block that could then be rolled out to further European Union states?
Yeah, we are scaling up at the moment, and it's quite obvious that the challenges of climate change and and the industrial use and the political situation doesn't care about borders, and the fish stocks neither. So it's quite self-understanding that preserving the Baltic Sea and sharing the tradition has no borders. Our fishery practices are pretty much like other traditions in Denmark, and they are closely related through the seas, and it's the same in the Baltic. So we scale up, and I think it's especially working together, local knowledge and scientific methods, and especially data in shallow waters, and the perception and the knowledge of the fishermen who are out there every day would be really crucial to change things to the better through cooperation.
Absolutely. And I think, I mean, on that line, really for both of you, if there's anything that the German Ocean Foundation can do to support your networks and to help these connections and grow the connections, then we are very happy to help. One more question I have from Alex: floating seagrass. So this would be for you, Martin. Floating seagrass sometimes covers whole nets and recently has become a resource. So is there a potential for an alternative source of income for fishermen or women?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. We are at the moment looking into a technique to gather seagrass at sea with means of traditional fisheries. We are working with a company providing the nets, and yeah, we are talking about funding, and besides nutrition, there is a huge potential in the as well in the automotive as in the building sector as insulation. So we are looking at these aspects closely, but we are right at the beginning. It's a second season at sea, so give us another year.
Maybe we can come back to you in a year and
Sure.
have another webinar. One more question for Laura. It's wonderful. So this is from C. Cruz. I hope I'm saying that right. It's wonderful to hear about the school programs. Since we're targeting a younger generation that is highly visual, what efforts are being made to use visual literacy in these educational materials to help students connect emotionally with seaweed science?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. I have just shared in the chat also the link for this call for schools. And again, we're planning to do this in a co-creation manner with the teachers, so they can also have a say and help us to shape this program and what is actually interesting depending on the ages. I'm sorry, I have my dog here. I hope And then, yeah, of course, we are planning for the, depending on the ages, to have very sensorial activities, to use like dried algae or algae to make hands-on experience, to prepare like something they can use in the face, for instance, or how they can cook with algae, a recipe or so. So really, we are trying to make something sensorial, highly visual, as you said, and as I also mentioned, to make some site visits and have a more in-depth experience with an algae farm or facility.
Super. Another one for you, Laura. Would EU4Algae consider hosting workshops or training sessions for international organizations, for example, in the Caribbean? So that's also perhaps interesting to think about. Obviously, it's a European-wide network, but presumably that other regions of the world are working on similar projects. Do you reach out to them, and would you be able to offer some kind of training?
Yes, we do have quite packed, let's say, activities for each year. We have one physical meeting. Usually we do it back to the European Algae Biomass Association, the Algae Europe Conference in December, which is a huge conference through the algae sector. We do have some online events, which is open to the participation for all the world. I mean, although we are quite EU focused, but you can see on our website, I already mentioned this one coming up about the carbon schemes in March, on the 20th of March. So you're very welcome to join all our webinars and online sessions, and also physical sessions if you think that this resonates with the work that you are doing. So you're very welcome to join the website to receive the information about the events, and it's, as I said, bottom up and very open.
One more from Caitlin. A general question: do you know about the algae project of Omega? Is there any discussion or progress on it?
I don't know if Martin knows about this project. I myself don't know yet. This is EU funded, but usually we are very also willing to engage with different EU projects and initiatives to disseminate on our website. But for now, thank you for the question. I cannot not say about this project.
I'm not aware of it either.
All right. Well, I think that's bringing us very close to the hour. Let me say thank you again, Laura. Thank you, Martin, for two very, very interesting presentations. We'll take your thoughts with us, and I'm sure they'll stay with us for a few days. We'll mull over them. As I said, if there's anything that we can do in order to support your projects, please do let us know. For those who are participating, if you would like to receive further information, you have the contact details. Otherwise, you can contact us, and we will forward them to you. Let me then close just with saying thank you very much for participating. Thank you very much for your presentations. We will be making this available on our website. The recording will be up on our YouTube page, also on our website. And if you would like to find out about further events organised by the German Ocean Foundation, please do let us know. The next dialogue will be looking at the fourth challenge. That's about the blue economy, how to develop a sustainable, resilient and equitable ocean economy. Probably in about April, but you will all receive information about that. Thank you very much again, and I wish you all a very pleasant evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be
Thank
here.
you all. Bye-bye.
Likewise. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.